Hi, Mike Pelonzi, back with another edition of Safe and Sound. Today I'm very excited. I have a special guest, and this is actually part one of a three-part series I'm going to be doing on securing a home, creating a safe room, and everything that goes with that. And as some of you know, I talk about doing home assessments in my classes and identifying where the weak spots are around your house, such as keeping ladders locked up, not putting your keys out under the mat, places where people could break in easily, some weak door jams, and we're going to be talking about door jams. And one thing I stress in all these classes are, when we start reinforcing your door jam or adding improvements to your house, I always tell people, listen, we have to use someone known in the industry, has a great reputation, is insured, and is a professional carpenter or construction person. No offense to my buddies out there with hammers. I know everyone puts tool belt on and thinks they're a carpenter, but we're really not. So today, I've asked the person who helps me do some of these projects, Mike Beam from Beam Construction on the set. That's you. Mike, thanks for coming.
Thanks, Mike.
Why don't you tell them how long you've been in business, what you do, and then we'll start talking about some of the things we've done together.
Well, I know I only look like I'm in my 20s, but I've actually been doing this for a couple of years. I got started in 1987. Remember the 80s?
I do remember. 80s were great, yes.
A few years back. So we do, all house remodeling and house repair work. So what you want to talk about today is pretty routine stuff.
Well, routine when we're talking about, the first step in home security, and everyone thinks, because I teach firearms and self-defense and pepper spray, we're just going to arm up and run around. Like, no, the first part of it is keeping people out of their homes.
Exactly.
Right? And with that comes proper door locks.
Yeah.
People do not understand the difference between a Home Depot door lock and a true security lock.
Yeah.
And I want to tell them, or you're going to tell them actually, because you do it, about the best way and the proper way to secure a door jam, keeping the doors tight, deadbolts, and the importance of all that. So
I think one of the biggest things is to actually use the locks. A lot of people still leave their houses unlocked, and it's always pretty amazing. Leaving windows unlocked, leaving your doors, even lock your screen door. Whatever you can do to slow somebody down, you should do it. The days of being able to leave your house unlocked and then go out and then come back I think is over. I think it's over a while ago. That's just me. I lock everything. But
I think the police logs would agree with you that the days of the 50s.
And I hate to sound morbid, but if you are in your home and somebody walks in your house to do harm, you are in big trouble, because once they're in your house, nobody knows now. You're inside your four walls. So if you don't want to be, I don't want to sound paranoid, but you probably should keep your doors locked even when you're home. Of course, if you're working in and out, because you're working in your yard, that's different. And if there's other people home, but if you're home alone, or you have kids and they're home alone, teach them how to lock the house. And I wouldn't leave windows unlocked.
Especially at night, summertime.
Not at night, I know, and if so, use the little stop locks they have on a lot of windows now. Have the lock where the window it's a stop, it's not a lock, but it'll let the window be open for a little bit, if you want to have that window open a little. And those are failable too. I mean, you can, if somebody wants to get in, if they can reach in and grab that window sash, they can push that thing up hard enough, they'll break those two plastic locks right off. If the window's locked with the sash lock on it, you're not going to defeat that unless you break the glass. And that's another thing. I don't mean to sound negative, but if somebody wants in your house, they're getting in. Because we have glass windows, glass doors, and a lot of people like a lot of glass. I like a lot of glass. So if somebody wants in, they want in,
And a lot of people do like a lot of glass.
Yeah.
Especially, people, correct me if I'm wrong, but I know I'm not, because we talked about this before. People buy exterior doors to their home because of the way they look, not because of security.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
And that's all fine and dandy until you have a problem.
Till somebody breaks the glass.
Till someone breaks the glass.
Right.
Now, they do have glass that is harder to break than other glass. that will splinter
Yeah,
or?
yeah. Well, most of the stuff you see is tempered glass, like
Okay.
the windshield in your car.
Yeah.
And it's safety glass, so that you don't get injured by shards of glass. If it was like if somebody, accidentally fell into the door, or a baseball hits it, or lawnmower shoots something at it. You know what I mean? That's why you'll see doors have safety glass. Windows generally do not have safety glass, except bathroom windows do now. And you'll see that because of, again, they'll have safety glass because of if you get out of the shower or tub and you slip and you hit the window for some reason, that way that would break into 1,000 little pieces and not shards of glass hit you. So, or you'll see safety glass on a window like on a stairway. That's part of the building code, so they require that stuff.
And you can get safety glass put on the first floor windows if you wanted to, correct?
You can, what they sell is a film, way cheaper. You can get it on any place, Amazon, wherever. They sell it at Home Depot, Lowe's, and it's a clear film. And they have decorations too if you want to decorate a window, but you put the film on, it goes on, wet the glass, squeegee the thing, so you get all the air bubbles out, and now it makes it safety glass. Because if the window breaks, it's filmed together. You're not going to get the shards of glass, coming at you. It'll at least hold it together, so it's not flying at you.
Again, no offense, especially to my buddies who, Mr. Handyman 101, but putting the film on, kind of something you should do for them, or they should get the kid, you do it, they do it?
It is a pain in the butt. It's whatever your patient level is. if you can stand it, and it's one of these things, and I hate to say it as a guy, but you got to actually read the directions. But yeah,
that hurts on the show.
It hurts.
We don't read the directions.
It hurts to say it.
Okay.
But sometimes we read the directions after just see how close we get. But the thing is, you want to. It does take a little bit. You got to get the air bubbles out, wet the glass, put the product on, and then they sell a squeegee it all out, get all the air bubbles out. Otherwise, you're going to be looking at it forever, cursing yourself, or if somebody did it for you, cursing them, right? But it's a cheap way to make the glass safe, and it's pretty handy, So, but as far as doors, we were talking about doors.
We were talking about doors, and security door jams. Explain that, how the difference in tightness. And
well, you can buy a cheap door, and the problem that you see is a lot of the stuff today is built not as good as it used to. And so back in the day, and what does that mean? It means all the way probably up until into the 90s, I'd say, you could get, you could go buy a door and it was pretty well built. The well-built stuff today is now big money. So if you go buy a door, like say one of the box stores, a lot of the time the frames are finger jointed together. So it's fine unless you're putting some big pressure on it. And the doors, the metal doors, they can be kind of rough. They rust and they cause problems. They're fairly solid. A lot of times you see most people use like a fiberglass door, like an embossed door with maybe a 6-panel look or whatever, but or maybe glass in it. Most of the doors are a wood frame, pretty standard thickness, but the doors at box stores and some of the things you get, maybe even through some of the lumber yards, you'd have to request a solid frame, which means not finger-jointed pieces of wood put together. The finger-jointed stuff, like I said, it's okay, but over time, moisture can get into the joints, and then the door frame can start to be not so healthy anymore.
And those are easy to pry open then?
Everything, it's just another seam that you could really wear out. If somebody wants to take a hammer and a pry bar and break through a door, yeah, a finger-jointed frame will pop apart pretty easily, But if you can get a solid frame, that's better. In a solid insulated door, whether it's fiberglass or, metal's not as popular as it used to be, but they still sell some metal stuff. I don't know. Metal's okay in a commercial situation. but you don't see it in homes too much anymore.
And then not many wives will allow guys to put a true security door out there. They want some kind of design,
Yeah.
which is fine.
Yeah, which is
That's
okay.
good. We can get one of those solid doors, right, and
Yeah.
just reinforce it with a real deadbolt. So
Yeah,
so
and you know you got to use a good brand, you know, and Schlage is a big brand that's been around 1,000 years. There's a few others. Stanley is a decent brand. Some of the locksmiths will have something even better. Those are going to be
How deep should people get them to go in?
Well,
into the
deadbolt
door
usually
frame?
only goes in about an inch.
Okay.
But it's the bolt is only part of it. It's the hardware that goes along with it that you mortise into the frame, and you want to do it like it says on the directions. Again, we got to read the directions on this stuff because that is really the whole deal right there. You got to get that mortised in, and you want those 2 long screws to go in, and you want to hit that stud that is part of the door framing. And that's what's going to hold if somebody's really trying to break into your house, you know. I mean, you and I could shoulder most doors and get in. If it's a pretty good deadbolt and it's been put in well, it's going to take a little work, you know.
Because the way people break down doors, they make the wood fill against the lock, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
So if it's a poor design that 1 inch deadbolt's in, then they're just going to push through it.
Yeah, if you don't use long screws, 3-inch screws to get into the frame, right? Then if you use the 3/4-inch screws, then there's no strength there.
Right.
I mean, it's like a padlock. You're just keeping out the honest people.
Yeah.
You know, it's stopping. You know, somebody that wants to get in, they're going to boot that thing and be right in there.
And I'm glad you mentioned screws because so many guys go, I'll just get some long sheetrock screws and just put it in. I go, yeah, but then we get into the hinges, right? The hinge is another weak point of the door. As long as the lock, the hinges can be an issue as well.
Well, if you use like a drywall screw, the problem with a drywall screw is it's good for drywall and a lot of different things, except they're brittle, right? Because that's the way they're made. Like a nail isn't brittle; it's solid, you know. But a screw, like a drywall screw, is brittle, so it could snap, you know. So you'd have to get a good solid screw that's not made in that same fashion, a quality screw, you know. Otherwise, again, you boot the door and the screws will break. And then hinges, you know, it's hard to defeat a hinge. If a door has 3 hinges and you've put a nice 3-inch screw in to the stud on the hinge side as well, then the door's pretty rigid. You get 3 screws on the hinge side and you got 2 screws on the deadbolt side. It's pretty solid. If you don't put any long screws into the framing of the door, the 2x4 behind it, then you're going to just have 3/4-inch screws. And again, you could start working on those. There's 4 of them per, you know, that are screwed into each hinge into the frame. So they're not going to give like that, but they'll give. They're only 3/4-inch screws, you know.
So that's what you do. When we've done these projects,
Yeah. Excuse me.
right from, so you can drink some water. Have some water, buddy. It's okay. We can drink on the
Oh, we can drink?
We can drink. Yeah, you have water. It's done. Slade
time is
here.
it? Oh.
Yeah, well, there's a countdown right there. We're halfway through, believe it or not.
Wow.
And I know. We haven't gotten to a tip I want to get.
Oh, yeah.
But what I was saying is, when we've done this, when we say we, I've done the assessment. Like, this is a very old door, older house. Brought you in, reinforced everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. The frame, proper door, proper deadbolt, make sure the proper screws are there.
Yeah.
It's just all part of keeping people out of the house to begin with.
Yeah.
And in that, and I'm going to have 2 more shows from now. I'm going to have the guys from Wayne Alarm in, and we're going to talk about different things. Glass break is one of them. I'm all about glass break for people who don't have cameras or they just need something simple where the vibration will set off an alarm system.
Yeah.
But while we're on deadbolts, before we get too far ahead, I got to tell everyone watching, And I see this so much, and people say, "Oh, that's no problem. I got a 2x4 underneath my doorknob, and no one get in because I got it slammed up in there. Or I got a lead pipe against it." Or worse yet, people put furniture. Never do any of that, because if you have a house fire, and unfortunately we have had a house fire, and I can't tell you how fast it moves and how fast you need to get out. And fortunately, we were fine, and we rebuilt. But it was seconds once the gas line hit our house.
And you're panicking. Even if you're not panicking, even if you're good under stress, it's stressful, and you got to move. And so things in the way like that, that's just clutter, and yeah, that'd be a problem.
Yes, and there's easier, better, safer ways to keep yourself safe. More importantly, keep people out of the house without getting too fancy with 2x4s. And we all see in the movies they put a chair under the doorknob. The chair thing doesn't work, so don't do that.
Yeah.
And that's movie stuff.
Yeah.
So
the other thing is they make some pretty nice looking slide locks, which is like kind of an old school thing too. You could put a slide lock down on the lower part of your door, because a fair amount of thieves are lazy. So if they have to work to get into your house, they probably might go to your neighbor's house, And so if you have a deadbolt, great. The chain lock is a waste. Don't bother with the chain. I don't know what that deal is, but that's just dumb. It doesn't work. But you could also put
keep your toddler out of the room when you're trying to clean or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's okay. Yeah, keep the kids out or something.
Keep
right?
the kids out.
So, until they're like not kids.
Right.
But yeah, you could do a slide lock, and that's a good thing too, because those are pretty heavy duty, and you could get a couple good long screws into that framework, and you're probably not going to kick that door through, And if it has glass again, they could just break the glass,
Well, again, and we've always talked about safety glass, but now you brought up the film. I think that's going to be added into the whole scheme of things on, okay, you don't want to do this, let's do this. And, like I tell people, sure, we can fix some things on the car, but maybe it's better to get the mechanic in. Maybe it's good to get the carpenter in, which would be you, to squeegee that and just...
and then there's the whole rest of it where you want to keep lights on if you go out, or even if you're home, if you have yard lights or some lights, motion lights, those are good, right? Whatever you can do to scare somebody off. If you go out, leave a TV on. Leave a couple lights on the house. There's a few things you should do. Everybody has a Ring camera now, or there's another brand out there that's popular too. The front door, or on your doorbell rings.
Yeah.
The doorbell has the camera on it, and
chimes whenever it comes in the driveway.
Yeah, it goes off on your phone.
Yeah.
And then there's all the different cameras that you can set up around your house, which are very handy. And some of them allow you to speak, right? Like the Ring one, you can speak, and the other brand there too that's popular. So that's kind of cool too, because then they don't know if you're home or not, But anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's why you're here, to tell people what we do and what they can do, and how, with just, without breaking the bank.
Yeah.
Just not going crazy. Next week I'm gonna do a whole show on creating a safe room. It's not gonna be the $30,000 safe room. It's gonna be something I take from another class, the Refuse to Be Victim class we do, and I'm gonna do a whole show on that. And in that, I'm gonna say it here because we're talking about cameras. It's summertime, just about. People are all planting. Some of us go with our wives and buy a lot of plants. My wife's behind the camera laughing because that's what we did the other day. Plant rose bushes in front of your first floor windows. Statistically, criminals will not approach that window because they don't want to prick themselves. And I did not make that up. I wish I could take credit for that. That comes right from the FBI.
Really?
When they're doing their crime stats
Rose
research.
bushes?
Yeah, rose bushes. Yeah. Criminals don't want to prick themselves.
Yeah. Now, on the other hand, when you plant bushes up against your house, it creates moisture and damages your house. So, I don't know. Maybe you leave a little space.
Maybe leave a little space.
So it can breathe.
All right.
All right.
A little space, they'll grow long.
Yeah.
All right.
What else? Did we say something here? What else were we supposed to say?
Yes, well, let me...
You have it all written out.
I did. It's just to make it easy, and I didn't want to forget anything. do people put fire-rated doors on their homes? I know they don't have to, like some commercial, but are people doing
No,
that?
you do. Between your garage and your house, if your garage is attached,
Uh-huh.
there has to be a fire-rated door. And for obvious reasons, if your car is in there or anything that has gasoline or fuel. And if you have an electric car, I would not park it in a house because you don't know. That could just start a fire. And those are terrible to put out.
Very hard to put out.
Yeah,
And, it's not
like,
I know
think,
nowadays.
the fire department says about 600 to 700 gallons to put out a regular vehicle that burns gas or diesel that's on fire, and it's like 11,000 gallons of water to put out a battery car. So there's a big difference, and it can start up again. The batteries are a whole different animal, you know.
Yeah.
But don't park it in your house, in your garage, because you just don't know.
And
And if you have battery tools and battery, don't leave them on the charger at night. That'll start a fire. It could.
yeah.
So don't do it.
I don't listen.
You know.
I don't even leave my computer plugged in overnight.
Yeah.
And, once you had a fire.
Yeah.
And you know that whole thing.
Yeah.
My wife will tell you, we're leaving. I got to unplug the toaster. I unplug this charger. Well, nothing's plugged in the charger. I don't even know if it's going to overheat or not. I just unplug everything.
I know, right?
They say it saves electricity. I just don't want to issue with a house fire.
Yeah, right. Well, you've been through it.
Yes.
Yeah.
What about breaker bars on like windows in the cellars? Those little windows.
Yeah.
What do you think about
I
that?
think it's a good idea to
Okay.
put some kind of hardware across a window like that, because, again, that's a pretty easy window to defeat, a cellar window, unless it's a steel frame, which you could see steel frame in a basement window. A lot of them are wood, and you can get to it pretty easy. So if you had some kind of a metal hardware going across it, a strap or a bar that you can put there, that's good. It's not a window that you open a lot anyway, generally speaking, in the average basement. So keep it secured. And, you could make it so you can get at it if you want to open it, though.
Yeah, I don't think.
Once or twice a year.
Yeah, yeah, I never.
If some people just don't. Some people have finished basements, so they might open it. But
But all those windows, although some in the front, a lot are in the back of their yard. So now you have someone in the backyard. They're low.
yeah, right.
They're behind those.
Yeah.
The one bush is, the bushes I said to plant.
Yeah,
Give them
yeah.
cover.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? So now they're working the window.
Yeah, they got the crowbar out.
Yeah.
I mean, again, you can do all the security things, and that's a great thing. But if somebody wants in the house, they're just going to break a window, and that's where your alarm people will come in.
That's the glass break sensor, which I,
right. And then,
you've seen them, just a little square thing on the ceiling.
yeah,
Doesn't break the bank.
yeah, yeah,
And because I'm all about making them make noise.
Yeah.
You
yeah. Slow them down.
make them make noise, slow them down.
Yeah.
The alarm's going to alert us that we're slowing someone down.
Yeah.
And then we're going to go to the safe room, which we're going to make.
Safe room, huh? I call it the kitchen in my house, but that's where I feel most safe.
Well, you've seen some of the layouts that I've done.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it's not, with that safe room with, what's the actress, Jodie Foster, I think it was, right?
Yeah.
I'm not talking about hitting a button and things open up and things flying through and, $40,000 later. No.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the average family.
Yeah.
We get our family in there and,
Yeah. If you just have a solid door, it could even be a bathroom.
Yes, it
Because
can be.
a lot
it
of
can be
bathroom
anyone.
doors are solid for sound. And so if you had a nice looking slide bolt on the top of the door, so it's not so, you don't see it as much, and you made the bathroom that, if somebody get into your house and you could run in the bathroom, hit that lock, and then get on your phones,
Yeah.
try to call for help.
And there's going to be communication. It's
Yeah.
all part of
Right.
the plan.
That could
Then-
work,
Oh, yeah.
Just because everybody's living situation is different, but there's always a bathroom, right?
Yes.
So, just a thought.
Now, listen, it's already on the script for next week's show about using a bathroom, using a bedroom, because unlike when you talk about true safe rooms like in that movie, it can't have any windows. Well, our plan is we need a window to throw the key to the police who are responding, and that's all part of the plan.
Or just
because
access
I've already
get out of there.
had them
Yeah.
key every door alike. So one key gets
Right.
everyone in.
And that is a good thing to do. Key the whole house the same key
Yes.
because it's just so much more convenient anyway, instead of flipping through 40 keys to get into your house, you know. But
Like the days we had a key to unlock the car and a key to unlock the trunk.
yeah.
One was round, one was square.
Yeah, exactly. I still have
How-
I still have a car that has that.
It's because we're old.
Yeah, that's right. I know.
All right. Well, look at we
Man, we beating your time down?
Yeah, we are.
Oh.
That's good. No, because this is about the time.
That's a little crazy.
I want you.
I want a refund. This went too quick.
We can do part two.
Who do I gotta talk to?
We can do part two. Mike Bean.
Plus, I was promised a dinner.
Wait. He's going to get a dinner, all right? So I'm going to buy him dinner. We can do Mike Bean part two coming up.
We got to do tip of the day.
Yes, we are going to do tip of the day.
Are we skipping anything else? Is there something else we're supposed to
No,
do?
I think that brings us right to the tip of the day.
Thanks.
And you want to do it? You want me to do it? But first,
Yeah, but first, wait, there's more.
there's more. We'll give you our contact information after. We'll have
Yeah. All right.
Chris put on after. You want
Okay.
to do tip of the day? Because
You
we
ready?
talked about it.
You ready?
Go. What
Okay,
camera
tip
you
of the
take?
day. It goes right along with what we're talking about. Lock up your car. There's been a rash of car breaks in the whole North Shore, and the police can't be everywhere. And when these people that are doing it are dressed in black and they're riding around on pedal bikes and or electric bikes at 2 or 3, 4 or 5 in the morning, nobody can hear them. And if so many people still leave their car open, they leave laptops in there, they leave money in there, they leave cell phones in there, and that's why these cars are getting broken into. Don't leave your car unlocked, and don't leave anything in the car that you can look through the glass and see. Make sure that when somebody looks in, there's nothing but the car, and then they will go off to another car. That's the tip.
That's the tip. I love that. You know what? You do that so good. You can do all the tip of the day. So I'm just going to bring it back for every episode.
There's another one about smoking in bed or standing up in a canoe, but
Oh, we won't.
another show.
That's another show.
Another show.
All right.
All right. Good?
Tell the people how to find you so
Me?
they know how to find me, how they find you, and we can get started on these things.
Yeah, so as usual, we're all busy, so it's a little crazy right now. Summer's out of control, but mdbeanconstruction@verizon.net is my email. I'm out of Danvers. I live right on the Wenham line, and I've been around for a while, so I don't just dye my hair this color.
That's right. No. All right. Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks so much for coming in. Appreciate it. Well, that was a fun show to do. Can't wait to do the other 2 parts next week. And hope to see you next time. I got to thank real quick because we're almost out of time. Look at that. Thank Mike, of course, Chris Harvey, who's running this whole show. You know, Michelle Lopez will help him out. And who's behind the scene? My wife looking at me, filming us, taking pictures. I know that's what you want to do tonight on a nice sunny day. But thank you, Lise, for that. All right. I'll see you guys next time.